Welcome back. This is the third video in the CoStar Real Estate Analytics training. This is section 1, Introduction to the CoStar product, 3 videos. So let me share my screen and we will get started. And this is where we ended off section 1.15, markets, very important section in the CoStar product, great data, incredibly valuable information. I'm accessing this from the blue ribbon menu bar. If you notice, we've been walking down this menu during the entire training. We're now here at markets, but it's an important place and definitely one you don't want to miss. When you do click on markets, you will go to a map view, and markets and submarkets is the default. We'll cover these 2 other options in a minute. You are looking, though, at the whole world, and you're looking at the markets and the submarkets in the entire world. Blue dots are going to represent a market or a submarket. Now, notice to start with, you default to markets. If you click this drop down here, you can change it to submarkets. Probably better to start with markets, though. I did, by default, I think the office property type comes in there, but you could change it to something different. I'll show you an example of that in a minute. Drop downs, location or geography. Now for that, you could specify a state in the US, a province in Canada. You could narrow down a little bit, and then the other options here are pretty similar to what you saw before, and you do have a map list and not an analytics view, but a compare view, which is really cool. So you're looking at markets, and notice the placards here are not pictures of the market, but little bits of summary information about each of these markets. I think they're sorted by asset value to start with, and you can pick a different sort if you want to, and you're looking at these as you go through. Okay, next obvious idea, you have a couple, this is just continuing more information. You have layers that we'll put in later on. You can zoom in, zoom out, map view, and as just mentioned, the fact the placards show various types of summary information about these markets. Altogether, we're starting with 475 markets. Now, the next thing we're going to want to do is filter by these markets. And when you click filter, you have a couple choices. Now, I mentioned this location option to start with because if you just want to look at markets in a specific country, click location, bring in US or UK or Canada, and you'll just be focusing on markets in that country. Then the filters will all apply to the various markets. Now, there are some special filters that you can add in, but these are the default filters. They're listed here. The basic filters are listed: vacancy rate, market rent, rent growth, inventory square footage. Now, I use that metric just to filter down and pick the largest markets in the US. Feel free to do the same or do something different if you want to. And you can scroll down here and look at all these various basic filters. But then notice here, you can look at, you can add additional filters. If you click on this, you'll have all these choices of other filters that you can use to, select a specific group of markets, and look at some of the ideas. Sales, pick ones that have a, particular 12-month sale volume. Economy, pick filters that have a, total employment or population growth or income growth, all kinds of cool ways that you can pick groups of markets that it would be more of an interest to you, or maybe you're an investor, than other markets. So lots of capabilities here. We're starting off, of course, in map view. When I click list, we go to list view, and I'm seeing all the markets. In this case, I picked square footage, and you see all the various, here's the inventory. I think that's what we're sorted by right now, or maybe not. And we're looking, asset value. Here it is, asset value. And we're seeing all these various asset values of the markets. And you have the checkbox in there if you want to just pick out a group of these markets, you have a report icon. If you click that report icon, you're going to get up big market analysis. I'll show you that in a minute, and for the specific market, and then all the various columns and fields that you can use. Notice you can scroll to the right and see all the rest of these fields of information for each of the markets that you have selected. So cool stuff here. We're in the list view. Now, compare. This basically allows you to compare based upon analytics, but they do mention compare in here because you're comparing markets. You're not just looking at analytics of all the markets combined, although you could do that. So I click compare, I go to this view here. Now to start with, the default metric that I'm comparing by is asset value. I see all the markets listed in asset value order. Now, if there were more than just one page, I could use the find option to jump down and find a specific market, see where it was in order. Or I could actually sort on a different value, even though I have asset value displayed in the graph, I could sort on a different metric. Now, here are elements of the graph. Notice to start with, we're looking at a 10-year graph of asset value, and we're looking at 5 years of forecast. Now, you have lines for each of these markets. When you hover on a line, you will see the specific market. This is New York at the top. Notice at the near the bottom, you're going to see the national index. That's the line that appears in a different color. And that would be obvious there. You can customize the graph if you want to, remove the forecast maybe, or change to a different, maybe you're just looking at, the most recent 3-year history instead of that. And then you would have the ability to print this out as well. Different metrics. When I click on the drop down here for asset value, I can see all the various charts that I can use for comparison. There are line charts, additional and market rent, inventory, and so on, cap rate. I can click on bubble charts, and I'll show you some samples of those, or ranking charts, lots of different capabilities to compare these markets. So that's really cool. And each time you pick that, a brand new graph will appear. And I show you a few examples of here's market rent and occupancy. So the rent is here, the occupancy is here, and the bubbles show you the various markets. And again, hover on one to see those. Here's a ranking chart. These are column graphs, and you can see cumulative rent growth over time. And in a 10-year history, these were the rent growth percentages there. So play with these, try different ones, look at them and see what you learn. Pick a group of markets that you are interested in or might be a little more familiar with, Northeast or Southeast or wherever you're at in the world. Now, when you have the markets like here or back here in the list, anytime you have that market, you can click on the market and you will go to this market detail page. This is a comprehensive analysis of the market. So here I picked Richmond again, and I'm looking at the market name. It did switch over to office market. And then here I'm looking at key metrics of information at the top related to this. And then headings, this is all the different market data for Richmond that I have. Analyses are included in these. And you start with a summary. CoStar has analysts that focus on these markets and provide written perspective on each of these markets. And so you're looking at that information right now. Notice there's a print icon up here. So that's how you'd print that market detail, same as what you could have done earlier when you saw that print icon. And again, the headings are going to give you the various types of information. To start with, the summary is here. Below the summary, you're going to see metrics, availability, inventory, demand, and sales. You'll see some KPIs below that. Box and whisker charts are back. And you'll see all those. Of course, they're customizable like we saw before. Then you're seeing additional information for each market. You're going to see some leasing information here, even news related to the leasing, and then you'll get into graphs. And here are rent related graphs that we're looking at. And notice each one, this is a combination of net absorption, deliveries, vacancy, and comparing it to the US vacancy. You can modify the graph like you did before, change elements of the graph. And then as you go down, you're going to have, here are all the various graphs. So there's net absorption, deliveries, and vacancy. Then there's net absorption by itself, and on here. Rent related graphs. How's the rent growth going over time? Construction related graphs, sales related graphs, economic graphs for your market, then even players, and then I'll show you submarkets in a minute. So modifying the graphs, just like we saw before, you can change the history, the forecast. The settings here allow you to do the smoothing or compare to another metric or change the exchange rate or change the timing through the various, through the little gear wheel there. And then PDF to create that, and data to view the raw data underlying this graph. So just like we saw before, lots of graphing capabilities. Now here's another capability. If I click submarket as I'm going down the headings, I now look at my Richmond market broken into the various submarkets, keeping in mind that submarkets are different depending upon the property type. These are the submarkets for office, and you're looking at those, and they're listed here on the right hand. Instead of placards, I'm seeing the Central Business District, Innsbruck, Glenside, and so on, and submarket level detail, so I can begin to compare these submarkets and figure out how are the submarkets doing, and what do I need to know about the detail, all the different submarkets behind this market as well. So that's really cool when it comes to submarkets. When you have submarkets, notice the layers is a special function in the map icons. And when you click on layers, you can actually view and compare the submarkets based upon specific market analytics. Here are the submarkets compared by vacancy rate or rent growth or inventory square footage. And the legend here displays the various submarkets based upon all these. You do see a name of these submarkets, and you could switch the list view to look at more detail there as well. But layers are really, really cool. A couple special things to mention. If you did select hospitality as your property type, the market filter options would change. You'd be able to filter these hospitality markets by the number of rooms or how many rooms are under construction. What's the ADR percent change or the occupancy percent change? Just find markets that are growing. Maybe find a market that has a good RevPAR percent change, but not many rooms under construction. You're looking for opportunities here, and you can scroll down through all of these to find hospitality markets. Of course, the list view, if you're in hospitality, are going to have metrics related to the hotels, and you're going to see hotel performance metrics, not office performance metrics. And of course, when you're comparing, you'll be able to compare the hospitality markets based upon hotel performance metrics. And here's how they compare to here's how these top markets. I picked the largest markets in the US when it comes to occupancy, and you see how they compare. Notice the US average is in there. You see how, interesting, before COVID they were all above the US average. After COVID, they're all below the US average. And stay tuned for I do have a video on the hotel industry update if you'd be interested to learn more about how the hotel industry is doing and recovering. Good. Part two, look at some of the other options for when it comes to hospitality. Here are all the other options for comparing the hospitality markets. Lots of powerful capabilities. And remember, you have bubble charts and ranking charts in this group as well. And Here is, if you have hospitality market, the analysis of this market will be specific to the hotel industry. So that's a different person at CoStar that creates the hotel related analysis rather than just the office analysis. And so everything will be related. The summary information will be related. And then if you do go to submarkets and you have hospitality identified, you're going to be looking at the hotel submarkets. Notice in Richmond, there are four hotel submarkets, unlike the office markets where there were many more. You had the ability to do the layers thing based upon various hotel metrics. Good. All right, so markets, very important. Lots of powerful things that you can do with that. Let's cover a few more sections here. In 1.16, market insights and data export. And that was the two other submenu options. If you click market insights, you're going to go to a listing of various information and white papers that CoStar makes available on these markets. They do go back in time, and you're going to look at these for various markets around the world. Click on market insights and you'll get this listing. Highlight one and then you can print it out. There are drop downs that allow you to get specific. For data exports, this is special data that you have the ability to download, and you can go through here and look at various options and pick a specific export and various attributes related to the export. Public record data, section 1.17, and that's interesting because that's the land data. So from the blue ribbon menu, we're clicking public record land data, and you're coming to this menu here, and you're looking at the map where you're located. Here you're looking at gray dots, and these are specific parcels of land. You're looking at total number in whatever geographic area you've specified. You can use the drop downs to narrow this down a little bit. Primary land use is the options are listed here, and these are explained back in the terminology section 3 of the training if you'd like more information on that. Options are about the same, and then pictures here are pictures of the parcels. Now obviously sometimes the parcel has a building on it and you're going to see the picture of the building on that piece of land. So as you go down, if you zoom in in this map, and you can actually, go to this map and zoom into a specific location, you see what I did here. I zoomed into the STR headquarters is located right here. And so you can zoom in. Here's the little dot. And when I click on that dot, here is where I go to work every morning, 735 East Main Street in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Seeing a picture of that, and then I see the public record data related to that parcel. But notice, as I look around, I can see all the parcels of land nearby. The homes are not there, but commercial real estate is all listed. And so valuable information in terms of, cool things to do with this. If I go to the list page, that's going to show me all the detail regarding these various parcels, and that's sort of self-explanatory. And then I can go to a public record detail page, and that's going to show me detail regarding a specific property, a specific piece of land. Here are the headings for this, and the headings are explained here, each of the types of information below each one of those. So that's a little bit about public record. Section 1.18, what I've tried to do during the training is bring up hospitality data, where we're at right now in this the STR data has been integrated, the STR hotel related industry data has been integrated into the CoStar suite product. And you saw a lot of that as you were going through it. When you clicked on analytics, you were looking at all that data. Now, it is calculated using a slightly different methodology. We get into that later. It is, the traditional method is an aggregated raw data methodology. In the CoStar product, it's a sub-market class methodology using weighted by the number of rooms. I can go into more detail. I do later on about that, but just wanted to bring that up. Other types of data will be in the product in the very near future, and then development data is available in the raw format. So we'll talk more about that as we get into the various hotel training programs that we have. So just as a quick overview, this is what we did in section 1. We were looking at the product. We talked a little bit about the company, the home page, searching for properties, the various symbols. You learned the various symbols and the different meanings of those symbols. We learned the views as we went through. We always start in map view. List view shows the data in tabular format. Analytics shows it in metrics graphs and KPI bar and whisker charts we saw, and very cool stuff. Had the ability to modify all those graphs anytime you're in there, and you also have the ability to modify the table when you're in list view. We covered the property detail page, showed all the information broken into headings and then sections below the headings. We saw that there were capabilities for searching for some special types of properties like multifamily or shopping centers. That was cool. Then we went into leasing and we saw, the lease related data, that page that showed spaces available for lease, the stack plan, cool stuff there. Leasing comparables, a little bit about a lease analysis. And again, a lot of information. You need to play with some of these. We covered the for sale option and how to find hotels currently for sale or sales comparables. We took a look at the auction section. That was sort of cool. Talked about tenants and how to find various tenants and how to filter. That was pretty cool. The professional directory was 1.14. Then in this last video, we covered the markets and how valuable it was to filter, identify markets. It could be opportunities that are relevant to your project or your investor. And then a few other sections related to markets, insights, data export, finishing up with land and going through there to talk about how to find parcels of land and ones that meet certain criteria. So that's sort of what we covered. Here's a review of some of the main functions. We saw lots of capabilities when it came to searching for records. You had the drop downs, the filters, even those map icons helped look for it. Obtaining detailed data. We saw lots of different views of the data, the map view, the placard, the list, the record detail page, and multiple ways to access the data. You could display it on the screen, generate report, export the data as well. Lots of different ways to get real estate metrics, and those metrics could be related to a property or a group of properties or for a whole market or sub-market. And the big takeaway is a lot of data. Now, the number of records and all the performance metrics, and lots of ways to personalize the program. So just some major takeaways from this section. Now, in this section, if you're working with a professor or if you just have a hard time sleeping at night, there are knowledge checks that you can do. And I give you a bunch of different questions and then the answers to those questions. And if you're working in a class, your professor may very well take advantage of these, or you might personalize these and ask these related to a specific the market that you're in, and so you can customize this to the Harvard market or the Boston market if you're in Harvard. There are optional application exercises in the training as well that you can go through, and these are more open-ended type questions, and so both knowledge check and application exercises. And that's it for section 1. Now, some of you may cut off at this point. You're just interested in learning about the product. If you're interested in going a little farther in the certification training, there are 3 more sections. Real estate analytical foundations. You see the kind of things we cover in section 2. Section 3 is real estate terminology and formulas, and then section 4 is real estate analytical foundations, and that's part of a bigger certification training. Right now it's in pilot phase, but we'd be glad to have you involved in that as well. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop me an email, shood@str.com, and hope you found this useful. Hopefully a great introduction to the CoStar product. You can see a lot of power, a lot of capability, and we're glad to make that available to you while you're in school, and can really help you learn. So hopefully found that helpful, and be welcome to have you back and continue in some of our other videos. All the best.